Into the upper 60s Tuesday. Might even crack 70 by Wednesday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
She's a CMS graduate, a mom, and a technology leader who believes every family deserves great schools, strong support, and a real seat at the table. From Davidson to Cornelius, Huntersville to North Charlotte, she knows our communities want the same thing. Schools that work, voices that matter, and leadership that listens. This work is personal. She grew up here. She's raising her children here. And now, she's leading here, using data, heart, and real community connection to help level up public education. So let's log in, level up, and lead forward, together. Welcome to the Community Classroom. Here's your host, CMS Board of Education District 1 Representative, Dr. Charlitta Hatch.
Welcome, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Community Classroom, the place where we slow it down, break it down, and help families feel informed, connected, and confident while navigating our schools and our community. I am Dr. Charlitta Hatch, and I am joined here with Stephanie Sneed, and this is a space for us to learn together, share resources, elevate voices, and make sure families know that they're not alone in this work. So, hey, Stephanie.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I am so excited about this. I know that you and I have talked about, the importance of getting information right out into the community where there are no barriers. And I love that this is carpool time. Like,
Yes,
families are in the car, the kiddos could be in the car. And even if you don't have kids, like, this is something that you can use in the community to get information so that you feel good about our strong public school system.
Absolutely. And this is the first day back from our winter break at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. So I know all the kids were excited, but probably tired, as mine did, stayed up way too late over the break and have to get adjusted back, just like it is summertime starting in the fall.
Well, and I don't think anyone is more excited than the parents that happily sent those kids off to school.
Yes, it is time to get back on the routine.
Look, or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only parent that's like, you got to go.
No, listen, you cannot imagine the late night phone calls and cackling and laughing I was hearing. I wake up and it's 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, they gotta go.
Yeah.
So I think when we think about, this show, what is one thing that you think listeners should be able to expect every week?
So one thing is, and I've thought about this quite a bit of time. You automatically think, oh, you want the students, parents, those that are interested in education, which everyone should be, whether you have children or not. But that comes with it, right? But what I think that folks will learn is that elected officials, we're people too.
Yes, we are
We don't
moms.
always have it together, and all the mishaps that can happen, which is one today is why I'm not joining you in the studio. Like, my son decided to go to the record store that's close to his school, and that pushed me back enough to not be able to make it there in person in time.
Yeah. Shout out to Jaden. We love you.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Jaden. So I love that you said that elected officials are people too. I think that also our educators are people too. I mean, all of us that are leading and serving are people. And what we get to do is bring these voices to the tables. And I hope that humanizes us a bit, but also we can hear directly from whether it's community leaders, nonprofit leaders, electeds, educators, even students. Like I would love to have students here so that they can talk and about their experience. It's not a boilerplate or it's not, some strategic message, but just hearing from the heart. And I think when you lead with heart, and people know your heart, then I think it makes it a little bit easier to connect, especially with our big school system feeling so big. I think sometimes it's hard to feel like it's just for you.
Right. And we need to hear from those different perspectives, right? And to know that, we like to have fun as board members as well. We want to be able to connect with people in all walks of life, whether that's, a student, a parent, no matter what community you come from. We have an obligation to do that. And we can do that in a way that specifically speaks to any type of community.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So before we get all the way into it, I'm curious, and I know that you have some really fun things you do with your family over the holidays. And
Yes.
so, as we're putting a bow on the holidays, what are some of the kind of cool or unique things that your family does?
Well, I mean, for one, it's a whole production, and it is, and that's why I'm tired because, and kids need to go back to school. But it's a whole production. We usually spend the Christmas in the mountains somewhere, whether it's in North Carolina or Tennessee, and we play Family Feud, we snow tube, we ski. We set up taco bars. We play the most crazy games, like all the games that you see on TikTok for the holiday games. That's us, and that's our family. That's our tradition. And happy to do that every year. It is production. It's making cookies, gingerbread house competitions, all that you can imagine. Is we're doing all the things and jam packed, usually just in a few days.
And I agree. I was telling somebody earlier that I think whether I was at work the last 2 weeks or off with the kids, I still would feel the same today because it doesn't really feel like we had a break, but it still was good. There was so much joy and laughter this year, and it wasn't super heavy. I think for us, over Christmas, we don't leave the house family. But we actually went to go see the lights here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on Christmas evening. And that was super nice and cool. I mean, it wasn't crowded. And I think that might be the thing that we kind of do going forward. And then for New Year's Eve, we had people over. So we had a lot of different families and kids. And we actually got a video game truck so that
Wow.
the kids would have a babysitter
Mhm.
while we were hanging out. So it was a nice fun break. Um, so what's something that most people don't know about you, Stephanie, as you kind of give people a little bit of background about who you are and maybe share something that people don't necessarily know about you?
So I think a couple of things that aren't typical. One thing is that I love to sing, but I cannot sing. So in my life, my next life, I want to be able to to sing as good as whoever you think is the best singer. Like that is just one thing I love to do. I love to
That's
sing karaoke. I am not shy about it. It is terrible. I love it. That is one of the things that's my thing.
And I love that. I was gonna say it almost is. I tell people I'm like a rapper. I'm like
Yep.
really a rapper at heart since I can't
Yeah.
sing. And so I'm excited to pick back up on who you are, Chair Stephanie Sneed, at the other side of this commercial. We'll see y'all in a few minutes.
Stay with us. The community classroom continues in moments with Dr. Charlitta Hatch, right here on WSIC. Local starts here.
wish you all a happy new year and a strong start to 2026. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
Welcome back to the Community Classroom, hosted by Dr. Charlitta Hatch. Insight, context, and community voices, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
So welcome back. We were just getting it good as we were hearing rapper Stephanie Sneed tell us all about her skills that we didn't even know that she had. So Stephanie, in addition to your singing skills and ability, we were going to get to know a little bit more about you. So happy to hear that. And if you have a few bars to drop, we'll take those too.
Oh my gosh, I need a beat. And then I'll be able to do it. Because we don't have that, I'm not going to do that. But I will say I am looking for my next student to participate with me in a series that I record, which I haven't done in a while. It's called Carpool Karaoke. So if you want to do carpool karaoke with me, and it's an opportunity for me to learn about you as a student and sing your favorite song, all while we're driving.
I love that.
To your next destination. It could be on your way to school, on your way from school. Just reach out to me on our board's web page, and I would be happy to sing with you. It's not going to be great, but I love to do it. So please reach out to me if you want to do carpool karaoke.
I love that. And I definitely hope students take advantage of that, because that would be some special time as well. It would be funny for you to get those bars in on the latest music, since it's not like the music that we grew up on.
Yes.
I would say one thing that I think people would be surprised to know about me, in addition to my rapping skills, is that I'm a Memorial Day baby. And so I love anything all white or carnival or a fair. And so I am always looking for those types of festivals, and I love the food there. So people like, what are your favorite foods? I'm like, turkey legs, Dippin' Dots, fried Oreos. And I think, that's kind of like my fun outlet that people don't necessarily think of when they think of board members.
Yes, I love that. And, my latest thing is, looking at, which kind of goes in line to carpool karaoke, is that I love all the TikTok dances, and my kids are embarrassed to do them with me. So, maybe I'll do a little TikTok series as well, record your favorite TikTok dance. But I love that. I can't promise that will be good either, but that is, something you would not think that I would participate in. I would think that most young people would think that.
So, you know what I think would be awesome? Because both of our kids probably think we are so uncool. But I am begging our listeners to please take Miss Stephanie up on carpool karaoke, because that's going to give her street cred with her own son. Because once they see their friends and other people thinking and validating how cool you are, then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, my mom is cool. But right now, they're not seeing that. So I really hope people take you up on that.
Yes. Please be on my next episode. If you want to see... on my website, there is one episode on there under Sneed, 4 education.com. You'll see an episode of Carpool Karaoke on there.
Love it. So what about your kind of professional background, and like what brought you to this work, and why is it personal, or is it personal?
So I will say that, one, I'll start at the end. I ran because I was mad. I always say I don't recommend that path for most people, but there was a particular issue that made me want to run. And I just jumped out there without any experience or anything like that. That is not the path that I believe that should be taken. But I will say, I ran for school board 3 times before I got on, right? So, that's how much I believed in, the work, and that I could contribute to the work. So I ran in 2017, lost that election. That was the year that I just decided to go run, and without necessarily any preparation. I ran again in 2019. I lost that race by about 175 votes. And then I ran again in 2023, and that's when I got on to the school board. And then, we just had had an election. So I was just deeply committed to the issues that particularly affect our children, particularly the disparities between the academic disparities between socioeconomic groups, right? Making sure we close those gaps. Particularly wanted to support teachers in very unique ways, including teacher housing. And I wanted to make sure that it was a system in which we are welcoming support. Meaning, are we providing a system that is inviting to parents, community groups, nonprofits to participate in supporting our students?
I love that. And I think, would you mind sharing a little bit about where we are with teacher housing?
That is such a great question. So we have a couple of phases, right? The first one, we have the CMS Homes program, and one aspect of that is providing below market rent to educators, right? So we have partnerships with different apartment complexes and rent companies, and they are providing reduced rent to our educators. The second phase of that is also, how do we move teachers into home ownership? And what that looks like is down payment assistance, providing counseling and guidance, and to helping teachers prepare to become homeowners. The beauty of this is, as well, is partnering with home builders. For example, we have True Homes, and True Homes is providing a percentage, has committed to providing a percentage of its developments to teachers at cost. And what does that mean? We've had teachers that moved in with the home being built at cost. I mean, beautiful homes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful homes at cost. And with the down payment assistance that's been secured in partnership with the city of Charlotte, Truist Bank, that we had teachers move in a $385,000 home, and the cost that they paid was like $285,000, right? So less than the amount that you can pay. The mortgage is less than the amount you can pay for rent here in Charlotte. So that is the second phase. Now, the third phase is, which we will see come to fruition this year, is the Educators Enclave. And that is where we're getting into the space of, we're going to have rental units that we're going to build on CMS land in order to house below market rent to our educators in our schools.
I love that. That is phenomenal. And I love that you shared that, because I do think that's something that the community should see, because so much of the conversation is around, teacher pay and what we're not doing. And so being able to, highlight this, I think is good for, our community members to know. Are there other things that we are doing to support our teachers that's a little bit more or different than maybe what's happening across the state?
So one thing I will say is that we asked teachers, right? So there was a survey that went out to say, what is it that you need for support? Like, what are unique ways that we can support you as educators that's not necessarily based in salary? And why do I say salary? I'm saying that because what most of the public doesn't know is that the school board does not have, the superintendent, we do not have control over the pay rate for our educators. That is set by the state. We do ask for additional monies to supplement those salaries from the county. And for the past 3 years, they have done that and fully funded our request. So the teachers over these past 3 years have received a 15% pay increase. But that is not enough because we rank number 48th in the country for the pay rate for our teachers. So, and I'm bringing that point to your attention because we asked the teachers, like, what is the number one issue that you're concerned about in Charlotte-Mecklenburg that you're experiencing? And it was housing. It was like almost 70% of teachers said the cost of housing could make them leave Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So that is startling, right? So our beginning teachers start at $48,000, and in order to be able to afford a studio apartment here comfortably, I believe that you need to make $61,000 a year. So that's a huge pay gap. So that's why we're in the space of addressing housing. That is specifically why we have entered into that space. The second thing I will say is that supports about what their environment is like. So we have the teachers, there's a group of teachers that meet with our superintendents throughout the year to talk about what are the things that they are concerned about, how can their working conditions be better outside of pay. I know that teachers are entering this profession because they love it. So it's not necessarily they have the expectation that they're going to become wealthy off being teachers, but do they want to make a livable wage, be able to have a family and live comfortably? Absolutely. So we've been communicating with them, like, what are the ways that we can support you in addition to keep advocating for higher pay? And so those are the things that we've been acting on. So they has to deal with their schedule, professional development, getting pathways for those that may be teachers assistants that want to enter and then become a certified teachers, making it easier for them to do that.
Thank you for sharing that and amplifying that. That is awesome. And I love what you said about, our educators deserve to have a comfortable, livable wage. And to see the work that you've been leading to do that, that's awesome. So we're going to pick this back up on the other side of our break.
We'll be right back with the Community Classroom, community perspectives, school success stories, and education insight you can use. Only on WSIC.
at the global box office in 3 weeks. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Don't miss a thing. Download the WSIC News app today. WSIC. Local starts here. We're back with more The Community Classroom, breaking down what's happening across Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools with Dr. Charlitta Hatch, right here on WSIC.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing what you were sharing about the things that CMS is doing to support teachers. And, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about is like the family's role in CMS, because I do think we focus, again, from a deficit perspective on like, you know, what are teachers doing or not doing. But I think there's some, you know, some conversations to be had around families. And what I feel like I've been learning, and I know you've learned through your experience, is just like the access to information and like what does it mean to have that, and how it hurts families when you don't know what's going on. And I know that's one of the things that we want to do here is to help make sure families do know what's going on and that they can reach out to us for topics they want us to cover. We'll do it in layman's terms. But, you know, from where you have been sitting, what information gaps hurts families when families aren't informed?
So it hurts from anything from how to get academic support for your student, or how social and emotional support, what community partners that we have. So family engagement is interwoven into the experience for our students, right? And so we have an obligation to be sure that we are delivering a product, because parents and students are, you know, they're our customers, so that they have the best experience. And so engaging with them, one, is a good way to gauge whether that experience is holding true, to make families want to participate in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. So one of the things is that simply on the basic level, knowing about what programs we have. Like, we have students at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools that will graduate with their associate's degree before they walk across the stage with their high school diploma. So it is about knowing, we have an obligation to make sure that the community knows what is available to them and all of the types of programs that we have and support that they can get. And that can be, like I said, anything from a specialty program to, if your child needs an IEP, how to go through that process. To know what additional after-school support programs that may be attached to a particular school. Some schools have a dinner program, right? So that your child can get a dinner before, if they're a part of an after-school program at a school. What schools have after-school programs that are officially by CMS or through some other organizations? So when I tell you it interweaves the experience, and all of that leads to academic success. And the biggest thing that I want to say about that is when families are invested in their students, when families are invested in our schools and our community, then those schools are successful. So it is integral that we make those connections. Now, will I say that we have a lot of work to do in that space? We absolutely do. Have we made great strides? Absolutely, yes. Is there more that can be done? For sure. And that is something that we will be talking about this calendar year, is how can we make sure that we're connecting with those that we need to connect with.
Well, and I love that you said that, because I hear parents that sometimes are like, I send my child to school to learn, and I expect them to have what they need at school because I work. We've got other kids, we have extracurricular activities. And so what would you say to parents that's kind of like, engagement is relative. If I send my child to school, I'm engaged.
No, it's absolutely more than that. Now, one, because you should always at the very, want to know what's going on with your children. And you know that by engaging with the school as well as engaging with your students. And I always say this, I'll be very honest. If you expect your children to get everything they need from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, it's just not going to happen. we will do all that we can to make sure that they are academically supported, as well as have some mental health support and the tools that they need to be successful. But that's not enough for any child, right? So we have children, I'm gonna just say from 8 to 3 every day. Their development into productive, successful adults, all of it does not happen in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. But are we integral in that? Yes. So the engagement of that is you have to know what's going on with your children's teachers, what they are, what the curriculum is like, and how you can support them. Now, I will say, the support looks different once your children get older. And so there we have tools, particularly on our website, that will assist in the development that is age appropriate. And we try to make that easier by sending text messages, emails, in order to make sure that that engagement is happening, and how to reach with your teachers, like how to reach out to a social worker. But the main thing I want to leave people is that we're committed to what we call the Crown experience. So we're the Queen City. We want to make sure that all of our families have the Crown experience, and that if that does not happen, then that there's a mechanism for awareness to say, how can we be better? But we are trying to make sure that it is as easy as possible to be engaged, because I know for a fact that sometimes it can be overwhelming with all of the things. But we have the professionals that will simply walk you through how to support your student.
So how do I tap into those professionals, right? Because, you know, on one hand, we may have a group that's kind of like, it's too much. I send my kid to school. Well, I might want to be engaged, but it's like, I got Infinite Campus. I have Parent Square. I got Here Comes the Bus. I got a phone call. I got the app. I got a teacher newsletter. I don't know where to start. So then I just do nothing.
Right. Oh, I mean, I certainly I'm certainly one of those parents, like the information overload. I mean, it can be an overload. So one of the things is, how do we figure out the balance, to know, how do we figure out the balance so you don't become disengaged because of over information? But I always start with the homeroom teacher. They will be able to direct you and help navigate you in the sense of what's going on, particularly with your student. And I will say one other thing too. If all else fails, if you go to the CMS website, there's a button that says "Let's Talk," and it is somebody that actually responds to that and can point you and connect you with whatever the need is, whether it's from nutrition services, whether it's from IEP support, whether it is from social worker, or how to get in touch with the teacher. The Let's Talk place is definitely the easiest bottom line way if you absolutely don't know where to go or how to get your questions answered.
That's a good feature that I actually just recently learned about through you. Like right on the homepage is right there, and I do think that helps with accessibility, because if you can't, you don't know what category it's in. You know, that it kind of helps triages it for you. But back to the homeroom teacher, one thing that I have done when I've been overwhelmed is ask just like a couple of like straight questions that allow me to figure out where I need to go. So I do ask if that my child has friends, or if they see kind of like any isolation, or if he's being a leader, or you know, some question around that realm. And then I also ask, like, you know, from an academic perspective, is there an area where you think we need to work a little bit more on at home? Because I may not be able to tell based off either grades, or sometimes I struggle with the test scores. But I ask those two questions when I don't know where to start, because that then helps me to figure out the next question to ask.
Absolutely. And the other thing I will say too, particularly about the test scoring and our testing. So we do benchmark testing throughout the year, so parents can know where your children are and what support they need, and two, how teachers can support your children to success, right? So whether it's through iReady or MVPA, which should be coming home in your email, is how to interpret those scores. that is also on our website as well. But again, if all of that is not connecting with you, you certainly can meet with your child's educator. They are specifically trained and they will be able to tell you how to support. And it actually is really coming. I'm really impressed by some of it because it is coming down to a science in the sense that it can tell you exactly where that student needs support in whatever the subject is, whether it's reading or math or science, and that it can be isolated in order to build that student's confidence and academic success in those areas.
And I think another question, when you don't know what to ask, I think going to the homeroom teacher and saying, based off these test scores, what questions should I be asking? That's engagement, and that means you don't have to have all the answers. We're going to pick up this conversation on the other side of this break. I'm having so much fun.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be right back with the Community Classroom. Community perspectives, school success stories, and education insight you can use. Only on WSIC.
Into the season of Visit hornhvac.com, where your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to the Community Classroom, hosted by Dr. Charlitta Hatch. Insight, context, and community voices, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
So we have been covering so much, so welcome back. If you're still tuning in, thank you. If you are just tuning in, we are the Community Classroom, where we're bringing information right to you, right where you need it. And we were just talking about the power of information and what it means to be engaged. But now I think, as you think about information and where do you go get information, a lot of people are dependent on us as school board members for information. And so what does the school board actually do? How would you describe it, Stephanie? And then I'll describe it, and then let's see if we could say it's the same.
Okay, so I put it in simplistic terms. I like to say that, we're a governing body. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that we are going to any particular school and determining, I always use chocolate milk as an example. Like, does this school have chocolate milk? And does this school have strawberry milk? Like, we're not in the weeds like that. We set the policy, we hire the superintendent, and we approve the budget, and we determine the student assignment boundaries, meaning where children go to school, what their home schools are. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. It sounds like a little bit, but really it's a lot. It is by the number of meetings we have, but we're not in the day-to-day operations, but we set the goals for the district. That's the other important thing. So we set the academic performance goals. We determine what the superintendent should be focusing on in determining what those goals should be. Like, that she cannot forsake mental health support in achievement of those goals. So that is in a nutshell what the school board does.
And I think it's interesting. I have to tell you a story. I know you've heard it, but my son, after we won, and I say we, and it's a we, after we won, the next day, he's like, "So, mommy, can you fire my principal?" I'm like, "No. Do you want him to be fired?" "No, I just want to know, can you?" So apparently he wants to walk around school saying it's possible.
Yeah.
Then he's like, "Can you change the school lunch menu?" "Nope, can't do that." He's like, "Can you make recess longer?" "Nope, can't you do?" He's like, "So why did we do all this? You can't address
Yes.
my needs." And it really is, I think, what the people in the community feel like as well. And to what you were sharing about, like, what does the school board actually do? It really is the big rocks, and setting the big rocks. Like, there's no bigger rock than the superintendent, right? Like, she is responsible for it all and what her goals are, because that trickles down. So it may seem like a little, but that's like a big responsibility, because that impacts everything. But you've trained me well, and so I thought you were going to say student outcomes and adult behaviors. And that has really helped me really wrap my arms around kind of what we're walking into, is being relentlessly focused on students and what impacts students through the goals, and the decisions that we make, and really dependent on our number one big rock, our superintendents, to focus on adults. And so then when you start engaging with people in the community, you're like, is this about kids or is this about a grown-up? And, a lot of it is around grown-ups. With things that people, when, people reach out to you, it's like something about a grown-up, right? And it's like, it's not about a student, it kind of directly.
So yes, and that's funny. So when you're talking to people in the community, what you'll find is, what are you doing on school board? And I was like, well, one of the major things that we've done is adopt the student outcomes focused governance model. Oh, what is that? I mean, literally just means we're going to spend a majority of our time focusing on those things that make students successful, and which is student outcomes. And so as a school board, you would think that happens across the country and everywhere, even within a state. It does not. It is easy to be focused on the wrong thing. So that is a model that helps us keep the main thing the main thing. It is not all the things that we have to pay attention to, but that is the main thing, and it helps prevent us from getting into a rabbit hole of things that we should not be worried about, because exactly right, that student outcomes won't change until adult behaviors change. And there is a lot of adulting that happens even with school board members, with staff, with the community members. And so I believe a comment that I made from the dais before was that, it was particularly frustrating. I was like, I challenge people to say I challenged people to ask others when they're dealing in the education space. Is this really about the children? And if not, that you need to check them for lack of better language.
No, I mean, and I agree, and I think it keeps us centered because when you're making decisions and you've got a kid's face there as your North Star, your decisions might be a little differently than if you were maybe trying to appease grown-ups.
Right.
And you have to be unapologetic about keeping students centered. So I love that we have that student outcomes focused governance. I love that I, as a new school board member, kind of just walk into that way of thinking, because I think it keeps us all like on the same page. Like, are we here for the kids? And being able to say, hey, let's take a moment here. Is this really about the children? And we're all kind of, aligned on that. So you are our board chair. So you were vice chair, and is this your second year as board chair? First,
Yes. No.
third year as board chair.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the board chair role. Like, what would you want people to know about that?
It is a lot. For lack of better words. I mean, one of the things is that I set the agenda about what we're talking about at board meetings. Like, what does the public see? What is public facing? In terms of how we are essentially how we're communicating on the things that the district is working on. I would say the second thing is that, which is probably the more important thing, is the role of the board chair is to make sure we're talking about keeping the main thing, that, that we are setting an agenda, that we are talking about the right things in our committee meetings, which the board chair determines who's on those committees, being the public face of the board, whether that's talking to news media or any other events, and really setting help to manage and execute on the vision and the mission of the board, and making sure that we kind of hold true to that.
And I think that one thing that is so important is that the board chair is the only person who can speak on behalf of the entire board, right? And so as people engage with us as individual electeds, it is not on behalf of the board. It may be your personal opinion or your experience, but I love that it keeps kind of like that one band, one sound, that one voice, and being able to set the agenda, and keeping us all accountable for focusing on students. So I just want to pause and say thank you for your leadership. I'm looking forward to it more in this calendar year. So what do you think families need to know right now about what we are doing on the board? Like, what's happening? What matters? What do we need from families?
So right now, we're about to enter the budget cycle, right? So we are starting we've had our first introduction on the budget. And so that is something to definitely pay attention to. As is often said, show me what's important to you by showing me your budget. So what we spend our money on is what is important to us. So we will be going through that process of, particularly in this time frame, it is, and in this state that we're in, that we have a North Carolina General Assembly that has not passed a budget. So what does that mean? That means we're based on prior years. We're operating in prior years funding levels. That means our teachers have not gotten a raise from the state. They've received their supplement money from the county. We are dealing with scaling down of the Department of Education. We don't know what our budget forecast is from the state. So how do we make sure that we are doing all of those things? We're going to have to make decisions, right, to make sure that we're doing those things, the most important things, and that there are the proper dollars to support our initiatives, which is student success.
So the budget process. So I'm just a regular community member, Does my voice matter, and how does that work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So you can always contact your board member, right, individually, and say, hey, I think you should concentrate spending on X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is. And there needs to be an investment in whatever area. The second thing is, you can always come to speak at we have 2 meetings a month. The first meeting of the month, which is the second Tuesday of the month, and sign up to speak. You can always send an email, but specifically, if you don't quite know where to go in a sense of what suggestions to make, before we vote on any budget, there will be hearings. There will be public hearings about it. You have the opportunity to weigh in on what's been presented.
I think we have had such good information that we have shared today. I hope that families are excited about tuning in the future, sharing, letting us know what you want us to cover, who you want us to bring on. The community classroom is a reminder that schools do not exist without families, and families deserve clarity, respect, and a real seat in the conversation. So thank you for logging in with me and Stephanie today. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected, and remember, learning is something we do together.
Thank you.
Great radio doesn't end here. Catch the full episode and dive or into our archives on the WSIC News.
WSIC 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, Statesville, Lake Norman's home for local talk radio. WSIC, local,